Hi, my name is Claire Barrett. I'm a director at APIs First and also a founding member of the API Collective, and I co-lead the Women in APIs initiative. So APIs First is a niche specialist consulting company, which is what it says on the tin. We work on helping organizations realize the full potential of APIs. Given that organizations can use and adopt APIs in many, many different types of ways, we're there to help them either enable their business strategies or simplify their technology architectures, enable them to deliver and innovate with IT more quickly and more efficiently, digitize their processes. All of those things are often playing out in the kind of mature, globally recognized organizations where we help. So we're typically working for big, large organizations who are recognized around the world and who are at some point in their API maturity journey and looking to get there, grow that capability faster. I'm known for being able to translate strategy into executable plans. I'm known for being able to get a disparate group of people together with competing or perhaps not clearly aligned priorities and agendas, and very quickly get them aligned around a common purpose and convert their intention into action that they can take and move forward with. So I seem to have always found myself somewhere in that kind of intersection between strategy, large-scale program change or transformation, as we've referred now, architecture to IT project execution. I'm usually helping people see what value they contribute into a bigger picture and for others to recognize that contribution in them. In a large organization, one person's API product might be just somebody else's simplified integration approach. One person's strategic opportunity enabled by the APIs might be seen as just someone else's problem to deal with in the IT function. One person's project may be seen as another person's future product. These are all sorts of places where people and organizations need to get alignment and need to be able to know where to invest to get the biggest, fastest return for API-related investment, but also not to make a lot of maybe short-term decisions that don't allow them to kind of grow and expand over time. So I describe myself as an IT change polyglot. I speak the languages of strategy, of complex project program management, transformation, scaled agile, organizational change management, architecture, IT strategy. Because I'm fortunate to have worked in many different industry sectors, in many different applications of IT to customer and business and employee problems, and in different countries, people use my experience and skills and know-how to help them navigate some of the complexity that's facing their API maturity programs today. So I see connections between things for people. People sometimes describe me as a systems thinker. So I can help people see and translate what perhaps is going on around them into something that's relevant for their priorities today. So my angle, if you like, and point of view and interest is in the human aspects of API-related change. APIs is almost like a kind of microcosm of change that is going on more broadly in large organizations. A lot of the things that need to be right for APIs need to be right for organizations to thrive and in the, call it the kind of new world order. So APIs require tight business collaboration. They require a strong understanding of the value of data, how that can be leveraged to create new business opportunities. They require teams that haven't perhaps traditionally worked together or operated in a model quite that way. They need to be able to collaborate. They need to have good, solid engineering disciplines. All of these things kind of come to bear around APIs, and I help clients navigate and prioritize around the things that are the most important. We sometimes describe our services as like API acupuncture. So we will tend to do quite short, sharp activities with clients, anything from sometimes 2 to 3 to 6 weeks at a time. And those activities or sprints or interventions, if you like, can help focus on the place where growing in API maturity will get the best benefit. So that might be around stakeholder education and training around the opportunities and potential for APIs in new business models. It may be practically in the governance and the standards and processes that are being adopted around API management. Often we're working with API enablement teams or their equivalents in an organization. So people who are helping or who are the center of expertise or capability, if you like, around API management, and who are helping other people in the organization get the optimum benefit out of use of APIs. I've had the opportunity to speak at conferences such as API Days, typically on the stakeholder profiling, stakeholder management, skills around API product management, those types of areas of interest. I do contribute to API's first blog. I've done some podcasting and always been invited to contribute to podcasts. And I'm active in co-leading the Women in APIs community, which is a great opportunity to connect with people in and around the industry. And they come from all sorts of different areas of expertise. Some of them are in the API competencies at large organizations. Some of them work for API vendors or platform teams. Some of them are maybe running their own startups, all sorts of different roles in and around the life cycle of conceptualizing, designing, and executing APIs. And they continue to be a source of knowledge, as is the broader API community of thinkers and thought leaders and contributors into the space, all of whom are endlessly generous with their time to bounce ideas, provide feedback, those types of things. I do read, watch, listen as much as I can, try and make space in my diary on a regular basis for consuming content. I mean, some of it comes from LinkedIn posts and feeds and those types of things, but certainly I try and listen and hear from those who are both consulting, thinking about the space, or have case studies that they can share from their own experiences. Of course, I learn from colleagues and I learn from clients as well. Every interaction is an opportunity to absorb something about an organization's culture and problem space and thinking and mindset, and help often play that back to them and to their colleagues in a way that can help them move the agenda forward. I'd like people to take more time to understand other people's points of view. I think people don't always give themselves enough time to really try and understand deeply where others are coming from. And so they risk going forward with assumptions or a perspective on from their own experience. You might label this a little bit of the kind of slow down to go fast, or less haste, more speed. I do believe that it's only when you have a bit of time to reflect that you can do this deeper systems thinking, because it allows space to be more creative in identifying and understanding what's going on in the world, if you like. I mean, I think the problems that organizations face today are so big and complex. How to be environmentally sustainable, how to be socially responsible, grow profitably, find and keep the best talent. All of these big, hard questions that are facing leaders in organizations of all shapes and sizes require them to be very broad thinkers and require them to get input from a lot of different sources. And I'm obviously a strong champion for gender balance in organizations, but more broadly, diversity and balance in teams to be able to solve these sorts of problems. And I do believe that solving problems around APIs, because they require close collaboration between the different teams, they require technical and business skills, engineering discipline, inside-out thinking. They're almost like a microcosm of the bigger challenges that organizations are facing today. And that by getting as broad a group of people together to really understand where each other's coming from, they can actually find the common ground and align and move forward more quickly. So it's not about just kind of brainstorming or overthinking things. In order to get change, you need to be able to execute in small ways and get traction and communicate that to get buy-in for the next piece of work. But you absolutely need to allow people time to slow down and think. If we're all too busy, we just forget the big picture. If you're neutral and you're independent, you can allow space for people to be able to present different views in a safe, in a way in which they feel comfortable to share what they're thinking. And a lot of what I personally do is design and run the sorts of processes that allow people to give them that space and time, so that they can then execute fast together and effectively. I've been working for a number of years, and so it's hard to pinpoint any one particular event or activity. My career's been quite almost a zigzag career in some ways, rather than which to me has been really important to survive in the IT industry, because it changes so much and so fast. You've got to always be continuously learning to stay relevant and close to what's going on. I've learned a lot through my work. I've learned a lot through having had the privilege of being able to work in different countries. That's in some ways why choosing where I've wanted to live next and how has often informed what I've then chosen to do work-wise, as opposed to perhaps the other way around. I have worked in large organizations who've been able to make investment in their people's training and development. So that's allowed me to go on a number of leadership development types of activities, a lot of different types of formal and informal training. And also I have used mentors in different ways at different points of time in my career. Some of those, have also become friends, or the other way around. And I kind of happy to sort of, kind of pull experiences from all sorts of types of people. I am a passionate lover. I really do love learning. I'm quite curious and interested in all sorts of topics at the moment. Increasingly, I'm motivated to learn a lot more about things like psychology and social anthropology, because I work in supporting the humans behind APIs. I find that some of these topics around understanding people, cultures, human behaviours better complement my interest and also my work. The joy of now, with so much learning and knowledge and information being available from anywhere in the world, accelerated through the pandemic, means that one has fantastic access to experts in any field that you're interested in, and it's almost like how to filter onto the things that are really important and that are going to make the difference. That's probably the harder thing. I certainly use LinkedIn as a source of information a lot, through the people and the organizations that I follow and I'm connected to. I'm not really active in other social media channels. I read a number of and subscribe to different newspapers and publications to keep up to date with current affairs, and particularly with a global perspective. So I'll tend to read newspapers, for example, that relate to that are in the different countries that I've lived in. to keep up to date in that sense. I learn a lot from other people. I learn from, yes, I think podcasting, listening to podcasts. I'm doing a lot more of that recently. Again, it kind of fits my lifestyle at the moment. I work in effectively 3 things at a time. So the API's First business continues to be my prime client-facing work, and then associated with that, my role as a member of the API Collective. So API's First is one of the API Collective members, and along with other consultants, I work on continuing to build and expand that, where we're helping power the humans behind APIs. The third thing that I do is, in more of a voluntary capacity, is supporting the Women in APIs community, and that involves a number of regular programs that we use to help people in the community be better seen and heard, but also working with partners such as Stoplight and others to look at ways in which we can get more value for the community out of their role and presence, if you like, in and around the API space. I'm certainly at the moment working on expanding the, in relation to the kinds of client needs that we've got, expanding the numbers of people who can be involved in supporting clients with us. I'm particularly keen to build or provide people who are earlier on in their career with the opportunity to help out, learn a bit about the consulting world and help clients and help us in our growth and development. So looking to expand in that space. I'm always continuously looking to learn on some of these human factors about what makes transformational change in large organizations successful. I have been doing some of my own research in the background over the last couple of years, which I might take to the next level. Certainly looking to try and invest some time in writing more in the public domain this year. I have a leadership philosophy that is that we are all responsible for providing other people with context, i.e. we need to be able to provide and answer the why for what we're asking them to do. And as well as having a responsibility to provide context, it's also everybody's right to be able to ask for context when they're asked to do something.